Hello there and welcome. It is another edition of Poll Stream. This is where we bring you election-related social media reactions as part of our dedicated election coverage program, The Verdict.
And you can be a part of the conversation by using hashtag PollStream, hashtag The Verdict, hashtag 2019 elections on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. We want to hear from you, so feel free to send in your election experience and even questions about news trending on social media.
Well, you can also follow Channels Television on all our social media platforms and tell us about your voting experience, the highs, the lows, and every other thing in between.
Well, let's get down to business, and we begin with what voters experience while exercising their civic rights in some parts of the country.
I voted at polling unit number 5 of Gwarimpa Ward, Abuja. INEC staff came on time. Accreditation and voting commenced almost immediately. We faced just two challenges. First of all, they didn't have public announcement system, so passing information to the voters was a bit tricky. Secondly, there wasn't much provision made for the elderly and pregnant women. But generally, it was peaceful, credible, free and fair. And the security operatives especially conducted themselves professionally. So I'm very happy with the process.
I am Akela Ridwan Oladimeji. Polling unit 09, location is Apapa Igomu, Jarabadia to be specific. My own experience today was awesome, and I never thought the election is going to turn out this way. The election was peaceful and calm.
Well, there you have it from the voters themselves, but let's also take a look at what we will, prefer to term as something light from the exercise.
As I don't cast my vote, you go respect. I don't cast my vote, you go respect. As I don't cast my vote, you go respect. I don't cast my vote, you go respect.
What did you think about that dance, though?
That was pretty exciting. I mean, I think it's a good thing for people to be excited about voting, excited about the elections. I was excited. I'm still excited, so that's a good one.
Apparently.
I know that we also have another video of a lady who was, just all out. She was ready to get down to business with INEC. It's like, we're here today. We're here for you.
She had a mat. She had a pillow. Like
Definitely.
She was just ready for the exercise.
Let's take a look at that video.
These people fun you.
Now, the person who sent us that video added a message. He said, "This is Lugbe along Airport Road, Abuja. Just coming from my polling unit, and I saw bike men celebrating by freestyling on their bikes. Hashtag PollStream, hashtag The Verdict, hashtag 2019 elections." Wow, that's interesting. Don't forget, you can also send us your videos. Just make sure you use the hashtags. Victor?
Yes, indeed. But some things were also trending on social media. Of course, some of the big wigs in the elections, of course, Senate President, as well as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. There has also been, all that banter here and there about what the results are, what the results are, from their polling units and, the seats they're also contesting. So that has also, drawn a lot of reactions on social media.
Definitely. Now, earlier on, when Coyote and Anne were on the show, they had the hashtags, Atiku is winning, Buhari is winning, and, people all over the place are just, I guess, hopefully tweeting and declaring their own winners.
Exactly.
And I think it's the same thing with the Saraki and Dogara
But
hashtag.
the thing is, we all still have to wait till INEC declares, so nothing
very
is
important.
concrete. Exactly.
Another hashtag is hashtag Sunday Service. We have a tweet from It's Bella Chris saying online service, who's in? Let's pray for the election result that it would be fair. Hashtag Sunday Service.
So that's the thing. They're in church, but also they have their eyes,
on the elections and the results.
Exactly. So pretty much everyone is just seems to be involved. But we have another one from O Adelowo, and he says, "Thanks to God for this election, but very sad that till now Nigeria cannot conduct elections without killings. May the souls of those gone rest in peace. But I'm afraid we have security in our land at all. To INEC, I give them 55%, but our security is 10%.
That's INEC, 65%.
Yeah, so, well, but you know, the thing is, the Situation Room actually released a statement yesterday talking about the number of people that had passed away during this process, I mean, during this exercise. They also listed some states, but I mean, it's just pretty much a sad talk on this process, but let's just move on.
Let's bring it to Lagos now. Now, you know, in Lagos, Okota has been trending. Okota has been a hot topic on social media.
That's right.
Right now, Demola is trending. He's allegedly one of the political thugs who caused mayhem in the Okota area of Lagos yesterday. And apparently he was presumed dead because he was attacked by electorates. People were angry.
Trying to protect their votes.
Exactly, and he was presumed dead at the time yesterday. But today is trending on social media, trending on Twitter, because news is that he's alive. Now, let's take some reactions to that video showing that he's alive. We have Ochuko King photo. Well, that's the video right there.
Yeah, that's the video. And, you know, one thing that fascinates me about this video is the security official. I mean, he's trying his best to see that he stops these people, you know, from...
but he's outnumbered.
That's the thing.
He's outnumbered.
So, if you link this back to the tweets, you know, talking about the security officials.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this clearly states how they have performed, I mean, in some parts of Lagos State. Yes, they got it right in some parts, but sadly in Okota, where there have been all these reactions. But let's just take a look at the tweets now. We have one from Ochuko King photo. He says the ballot box snatcher, Demola, that was rumored, well, allegedly, ballot box snatcher, Demola, that was rumored to have been killed and burnt by Igbos in Lagos, is alive and recuperating. It was actually the Igbos around that took him to the hospital, spread the news to avoid unnecessary reprisal attack.
Now, remember what we said in earlier editions. It's important that when you have the right information, you post it online. Make sure that you counter fake news.
Yeah, counter fake news.
And it's good that people are countering all these narratives about ethnic sentiments. It's very important that we do that. Now, we have another tweet still on the Demola trend from I am Taufik. Said, I wish Demola quick recovery in as much as I'm not in support of what he did. His life is worth more than anybody's political ambition. I'm Igbo, and I have a lot of wonderful Yoruba friends. Come brothers here in Enugu. I pray that one day my Yoruba brothers in Lagos will be free.
Well, the next one is from Olusegun Ifade. He says, thank God Demola is alive. However, he must be prosecuted according to the Electoral Act. We must follow the case till the people, our law, and Nigeria receives justice. I think that's a lot more... That's something that people actually should do when you apprehend someone like that. Yeah, let them face the law.
We have Wezi Froket who said Demola will have phobia for anything that looks like a box, even a matchbox. Interesting.
Yes, indeed, he will be if truly, you know, he was involved in that whole fracas that happened. But now joining us to get more on what transpired is a security expert and a communication specialist, Ikemesit Efyong. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Now, Ikemesit, did you see any of this coming? Okota, all these other areas where we had issues of security, did you see all of that coming?
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, on Friday, I was on the late night edition of The Verdict and essentially said that it has been very tough finding ways to future-proof our elections to prevent the occurrence of security and other ancillary challenges from coming up. And so it was not outside the realm of possibility that these situations would have happened. As a matter of fact, one of the electoral hotspots here in Lagos, in Agor Palace, we actually have a very good friend of mine who stays there. And for a large part of Saturday, he was essentially barricaded, you know, in his house, you know, with his family. And there was even an incident at the polling unit very close to my own street, so just the corner of the street, where it took the intervention of security agents from other parts of Surulere to come down, to come around to actually quieten the situation. So yes, these things have happened. What we are seeing in this election cycle, in comparison with 2015, is that with the ubiquitousness of social media, lots of Nigerians are actually taking charge of the narrative and the situation, and we're a lot more interventionist in actually calling out all of these incidents. And I think that's where social media has essentially redeemed itself. More people have been able to put the managers of the electoral process, you're talking about INEC officials, you're talking about the security officials to service them, and also all of the other support staffs that have been put in place to ensure that people are able to go out there and get their votes. People have been able to more rigorously police them. We have seen a situation where officials have essentially been acting with the consciousness that any of their actions would most likely go viral on social media, and that has also helped to a reasonable extent in Lagos and also in other parts of the country, mainly concentrated in the urban areas, but that has helped in ensuring that, to a large extent, all of these security incidents have been kept to a minimum.
If I may come in here, Ikemesit, this video we just watched of Demola, allegedly Demola and some other political thugs causing mayhem, and we see just one police officer. What do you make of that situation?
Well, clearly, the management from a security standpoint could be a lot better, and one of the things that a lot of observers on this channel and also folks on social media have been saying has been essentially to ask the question whether INEC could not reasonably foresee that these things would have happened. You've had a situation where INEC has conducted 6 elections, or there about 6 or 7. You know, the number doesn't quite come to me right now, since 1999, and we generally have a fairly accurate sense of some of the challenges that would come up. We also have a fairly accurate sense of some of the places where some of these things would have happened. So a situation where only one security officer, in this case a policeman, is manning an entire polling unit, I think it leaves a lot to be desired. I think it's unacceptable. This is one incident that just, came up on social media. We don't know how many polling units across the country this would have happened. So, I do know that in the polling units that, for example, that was very close to my house, we had more than one security official. But it leaves a lot to be desired that in a place like Okota here in Lagos, you only had one police officer man in the polling unit. Yeah,
so the thing is, INEC has said that they're going to, reschedule those at the hotspots. At the hotspots, they're going to be rescheduled elections. What do you think the security officials should be doing moving forward?
Well, they essentially have to double down. I mean, the vast majority of the country has voted. The vast majority of Nigerians have made their decision at the ballot box, and so you can't make the argument, for example, that security resources will be stretched. It's simply a matter of redeploying already assets that are already on the ground to these places to ensure that that people are able to, to exercise their franchise. And so it's a good thing that INEC has decided that they are going to do they are going to ensure that they do their possible best to ensure that as many Nigerians as possible get to vote. And I think it's commendable that INEC is doing that. And let's just hope that we will not have a recurrence today or going forward of some of the scenes that we saw in places like Okota and other parts of the country.
All right, very well, Ikemesit Effiong. We have to say thank you for joining us on the program.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Of course. Well, the thing is now the electoral umpire has been responding to some of these issues, and earlier today, one of the officials was here in a channel television, and this is what he had to say.
I think elections are being conducted in some areas as we speak. In those areas where security is restored and the security agents have told us we could go ahead. But there are other areas where it's too soon, too volatile for us to go back to try to conduct elections. In some areas in River State, for example, widespread use of guns, gunshots, allegations of grenade use and stuff like that. Obviously, it's too early for us to go back there. So we did issue a statement yesterday and said that in some of those areas, once we consult with the security agencies, and then, of course, we'll probably consult with stakeholders, and we'll go back as soon as we possibly can. But collation is ongoing. If at the end of the day, the results, it will not make any difference if we go back to some of these areas, then using our guidelines and the law, especially sections 26 and section 53 of the Electoral Act, then a decision will be taken what to do next. We must be sure that it's safe for our officials to go in there. We must be sure that it's safe for observers themselves to go in there. We must be sure that it's safe for voters to come out. Sadly, several people lost their lives yesterday, and that's totally, totally unacceptable. And so we must do all we can to avoid any situation where people are exposed to any danger.
So that's the thing. The key thing is just to be safe.
Definitely. And now that INEC is aware of the situation in all these hotspots, I'm sure that they would be better prepared next time.
Like you said, they will be better prepared and, of course, also ensure the safety of their personnel as well as that of the electorates. But we'll take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment on Pollstream. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to Pollstream, a part of Channels Television's dedicated coverage of the 2019 elections, The Verdict.
Now, this is where you will find all the major talking points in social media in one place. And we want you to know that what we bring to you here is what is hot on social media. Pollstream is what you should be watching to get all of those hot topics, going on about this election.
Now, to be a part of the conversation, please tweet or post online by using the hashtags Pollstream, The Verdict, and 2019 elections. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also follow Channels Television on all our social media platforms. Now, if you haven't heard, an INEC space in Osun State was set ablaze by yet-to-be-identified persons in Oria, the local government area of Osun State. And as expected, that has drawn a lot of reactions from the social cyberspace. We need to take a look at what some people are saying about this news.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, while people are talking about safety, people are still, this violence just
going
keeps
ahead.
Going on, on and on. And that's not a good commentary again. But let's just look at this first tweet from Amaga Chantel Witter. She says, why is the money in CBN safe and electoral materials not safe? In that case, others should be kept in CBN. So tomorrow, we will not hear of attacks on other states too.
Oladeyinde Adewale wrote, sometimes being a Nigerian is unbelievably frustrating. The question, how did we get here and how do we get out of all of this? Now, I mean, you really must allow people express and vent their anger. It is, a frustrating situation.
It is actually, well, but, sometimes you just have to also be patient with the security officials. They have their own lapses, but, you just have to be patient sometimes. But the next one is from Sami, the good boy. He says, where the security operative? So if you look at that video in Okota where we had only one security operative and there were a lot more people who outnumbered him, I mean, at times these things
they're just
happen.
outnumbered.
Yeah, they get outnumbered.
Now that comment ends with, or is the building not supposed to be on their watch list? Well, as we said earlier, they would do better going forward.
Hopefully.
Now we have Franklin U1 who said, an AU calls this election relatively peaceful. Relative to what? 2015 was cookies and cream compared to 2019. Should relative not be about getting better? This has probably been the worst elections in terms of violence since 1999. Well,
speaking of relative, I think that last comment is also relative.
True.
Yeah. So moving forward, we have Tope Akinwemisi, and he or she says security agencies on sleep mode. And it seems they too were not prepared like INEC. This is too bad.
Well, it's definitely not a good situation.
But again, another relative comment. I mean, if you want to put that in another perspective, someone will take it on a different note. Chris
Max said, I hope INEC has a robust troubleshooting plan to have rerun elections in polling booths and stations and maybe wards where thugs and unscrupulous security men have attempted to subvert the will of the people. Uge King said, I think it's high time the country goes completely electronic. That is definitely correct. We cannot wait, especially on Pollstream, where all we do is about social media and technology. We can't wait to have our elections go completely digital.
Absolutely. Well, so like we say always, send us videos of how the elections transpired where you were. But let's take a look at what some INEC accredited observers had to say.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Otene Oguche. I'm the lead observer for connected development at the 2019 elections in Makurdi, Benue State. Yesterday, the elections were free, fair, and peaceful in Benue. There were no issues of reported cases of violence of any sort, as far as we know. The turnout was impressive. A lot of people turned out. Voters were out as early as in the morning, came out very early, and in most polling stations, they were waiting for the INEC officials to arrive. Across many polling stations in Benue, the INEC officials actually arrived on time and set off early. The turnout was also impressive in the area of, you had lots of women, the elderly, and of course young people too.
My name is Jamio Folari. I am the state coordinator of Connected Development in Ogun State. When you look at the election in Ogun State, it was generally peaceful. I visited in the 20 local governments in Ogun State. Election material arrived at many of the polling units on time, but for some polling units, election materials, especially the ballot papers and the poll officials, did not arrive until 10 a.m. Some even arrived at 12 noon. But in general terms, the election was peaceful. We also have issues with, in some of the polling units, the card reader could not identify the PVC for some voters, and they resorted to the voters register. And when, in some occasions, the card reader identified the PVC, but could not identify the thumbprint of the electorate. So they also reverted to the electoral register. But in general terms, the election was peaceful. We use this occasion to commend the Independent National Electoral Commission for a well-done job. My name again is Kiami Folari. I am reporting for Connected Development, Abuja. Thank you.
My name is Ismail Ababatunde. I'm a domestic observer for Connected Development in charge of FCT Abuja. Yesterday was quite an amazing experience, having moving around within the metropolis of the Federal Capital Territory. But the situation was quite calm and peaceful, and people were able to cast their vote without any voters' inducement or police harassment or security. And we at Connected Development, we are not partisan. What we follow is that, is there any voters' inducement? Is there police harassment? Is there attacks on the polling units? But none of this was recorded among our observers in the various polling units of the FCT Abuja. So for us, based on our level of advancement in the country, I think we are not yet there, but at least we give 80%.
My name is Jesse John. I'm the program manager of the Access Nigeria campaign that is powered by Inclusive Friends Association, which our goal is to see that we have improved participation of persons with disabilities in Nigeria's electoral process. We have actually been working since 2019 to see that we have more and more improved participation, especially regarding accessibility to polling units and also the availability of PWD-friendly materials at polling units. And so far in this election, based on the information that we've gotten, we are observing within the 6 area councils in Abuja, and on the PVT data by Yaga, we have recorded so far 46% deployment of the Braille ballot guides across polling units in Nigeria, and also 81% deployment of the PVC30 which is a poster for the hearing impaired voters across Nigeria. And largely in most of the polling units that we visit, at about 81% of the polling units we visited within Abuja, we realized that the voting cubicles and ballot boxes were placed on flat surfaces, and that came as a result of our 2 weeks, an earlier 2 weeks engagement that we had with INEC, where we emphasized the need for the ballot boxes and also the voting cubicle to be placed on flat surfaces. We've seen that play out. So in terms of INEC's plans to make these elections more and more accessible for people with disabilities, we would say that has actually improved.
Well, it's good that the last word there was that things have actually improved.
Indeed, so, especially for people with disabilities. So it seems to be an all-inclusive process.
Definitely. It's not all bad news.
Exactly.
There is some good news in there.
Indeed.
And this is where we close on this edition of Poll Stream. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mayowa Ugundele.
And I'm Victor Matthias.